And now we will welcome Congressman Brad Sherman, a Democrat from California, and also on the Financial Services Subcommittee, ranking member to Open Forum. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
So I want to start where we started with your colleague last time. You serve on the Financial Services Committee, which has oversight of the Federal Reserve. Talk about your thoughts on the new probe into Federal Chairman Jerome Powell.
This is going to hurt America's economy. It's doing damage to the independence and the image of independence of the Federal Reserve Board. We've seen something like this happen in Turkey, which really hurt their economy when President Erdogan started interfering in their central bank. What makes America rich is not that we're genetically superior to other countries. In fact, we're drawn from all the other countries. It's the institutions. It's the rule of law. And it's a part of that is an independent Federal Reserve. What Trump is doing, trying to force the Fed to bend to his will cause more inflation. Sure, everybody would like to have lower interest rates, but the Fed's job is to set interest rates as low as they can be, spur the economy, but as low as they can be without causing inflation. And Trump has already given us a lot of inflation, and boy, he's bending the law and weaponizing the justice system in order to give us more inflation.
What do you think is driving this, or is it pressure, as some critics have said, to try to get him to step down from his post before May, when his term is done?
He's definitely not going to step down before May, and I'm sure that he'll stay on as a highly influential member, though not chair, at the Fed. I think this is the irrational ravings of an irrational president. I don't think other Republicans have a problem with Jerome Powell. I think one man has a problem. And when anyone doesn't bend to his will, it makes him very angry. Even when, in this case, his will is for a policy that will lead to more inflation. Now, I've had some differences with Jay Powell. There are times when I thought interest rates should be a quarter point lower. I mean, reasonable minds can differ. Than they were. But I never thought that means there should be an attempt to put Mr. Powell in jail.
Have you been surprised at the reaction from the market? I think some people thought that the market would take this news of the federal investigation really poorly, but it has been relatively stable, despite warnings from Democrats and other concerned Republicans that this would undermine financial markets. Have you been surprised at the reaction?
Well, I think it has undermined financial markets, but there's a lot of noise in the markets. A dozen things happen the same day. And so there were good things happening in the economy, and then this as well. But also, prior president, any sane president had done, would really surprise us. Donald Trump did something wacky, crazy, stupid, and harmful. Hey, you don't have to set new type on the headlines of a newspaper anymore. You can just have every day's lead story be that headline.
I wonder, the president yesterday, he said that he is going to cut federal payments to sanctuary cities starting February 1st over immigration policies. One, do you know exactly what he is talking about? And what would be your response? Obviously, Los Angeles, where you are from, is a sanctuary city. And California is
absolutely outrageous. But again, he just shoots off his mouth. He does crazy things, but he says 5 crazy things for every 1 crazy thing that he does. And that provides cover because you never know when to take him seriously and when not to take him seriously. I mean, I don't know if he's invading Greenland today or, bulldozing the Federal Reserve headquarters building. I have no idea what he's going to say. And thank God he only does one out of five crazy things. Obviously, it's illegal. And I think that the president may face, if not criminal penalties, civil penalties when he leaves office, in that a number of times what he's doing is in effect stealing money from the U.S. government when he diverts it from Los Angeles and sends it to Houston or Wichita. Well, that's no different than if you steal some money from the federal government and spend it on whatever you think is a good idea. So I think it will be we've the man's been impeached twice, but it's going to be hard to convict him before the Senate, even if he were impeached. The Supreme Court has made it very difficult to hold him criminally responsible. But he's.
Do you think that if Democrats were to take the majority in the House next in the midterms and then be in the majority next year, do you think that Democrats would try to impeach the president again?
Well, only if he does something that is an impeachable offense. And I think he will. I don't think he has any self-control. One would hope that he would notice that Democrats control the House and decide to actually start obeying the law and faithfully carrying out the law. But that hasn't been his progress so far. I was the first to introduce articles of impeachment against him back in 2017 when he was breaking the law then. He's been impeached twice, and but we have learned that even impeaching him doesn't stop him.
Okay, so you're saying that you do believe that that could be a possibility.
Oh, yeah. And look, and I don't want it to be, oh, Democrats are so angry that we'll impeach him right away. No, I think he's so crazy that he'll do something impeachable in 2027. Now, one can only hope that that in 2027 at least Donald Trump starts being an honest and faithful servant of the American people, and if that happens, he won't be impeached.
We're coming up on time here, Congressman, but I want to turn to foreign affairs since you do also serve on the Foreign Affairs Committee and are the top Democrat on the Middle East and the North African Subcommittee. We are learning this morning, and I want to point to this article, that the United States has pulled some military personnel from its air base in Qatar after Donald Trump threatened to intervene in Iranian deadly protests. Staff were advised to leave the air base, the largest U.S. military facility in the Middle East, home to about 10,000 troops. Three sources told Reuters the move came after Tehran warns neighboring countries hosting U.S. forces that it would retaliate against American bases if Washington followed through on threats to intervene. What, as a member of Congress and a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, what are you learning or understanding about the administration's position as to whether or not the president could move forward with threats that would be kinetic or non-kinetic against Iran?
I prefer the non-kinetic because you want to stand with the Iranian people. And we have dramatically cut all of our broadcasting and digital communications with Iran during this last year at the hands of Donald Trump. It is our soft power. The most powerful thing that America has is not our aircraft carrier groups, it's the truth. And we've got to get the truth into the Iranian people. They need to understand that this bloodthirsty regime has killed 12,000 innocent protesters. Their stories need to be told. And we need to use every technology from AM radio to sophisticated satellite web and other devices so that every Iranian is given maximum possible access to true information. And it is unfortunate that Trump, instead of hopefully enough of it to help, along with BBC, get the truth to the Iranian people.
But do you foresee some sort of military intervention here? I mean, the president just yesterday said help is on the way when telling folks in the streets in Iran to continue protesting and taking over their institutions. Do you foresee that as a possibility?
With Donald Trump, everything's a possibility. And the question is, does this help the regime by saying we're under attack from foreign forces? And Iran has, we have a history with Iran of going back to 1953 to interfering in their government. And I think that Iranian nationalism should not be put at the should not be available to these mullahs. I don't think that there are many targets that we could hit that would help the efforts to replace this government. There are some targets, and I'd have, I'm not there at the organizational planning level to say what leadership targets can we hit and what would be the effect of that. But certainly after what we did to Maduro, I have to believe that Iran is doing an awful lot to secure its leadership.
And last question before we let you go, Congressman, on Venezuela, since you mentioned Maduro, 5 Senate Republicans voted to advance the War Powers Act. Another vote on that is up today. There has been some consternation after the president's pushback on that it may not be successful. I wonder, can you talk to us about any efforts to constrain what President Trump is able to do in foreign nations like Venezuela on the House side?
We absolutely need to restrain this president from invading Venezuela, Cuba, Greenland. And we need to use all the powers of Congress to do that. And there are 2 types of powers here. One would be a law such as the War Powers Act prohibiting invasion. And the other, and this is a legal concept I've been involved in for a long time and have used, is to say that no funds appropriated by Congress can be used for any of those purposes. And the second is important because the Constitution has a balance in it in terms of control of our military forces. And the president can argue that his half of that control allows him to send our military. But where the Constitution is very clear is that Congress has total control over what money can be spent on. And we need, and I'll be working on legislation to say that no money should be spent to invade any of those 3 countries, or frankly, well, we already have a provision that says no money shall be spent in contravention of the War Powers Act. I authored that about 10, 12 years ago. So we're impressed with how our military was able to extract Maduro. That has not changed the regime. It has chastened the regime. And what Americans don't want is a war in Venezuela.
Congressman Brad Sherman of the Financial Services and Foreign Affairs Subcommittee, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.